He's a God that has all circumstances in his hands. And God have allowed you and I to see this beautiful day that neither you nor I have ever seen before. But God got a special plan for you. And only you can fulfill it. I'm not concerned about where you came from, or how you got here, or how bad of trauma that you may have had to encounter. But the fact of the matter is that you are still living. And because you are still living, you are the one who's going to be next in line for your miracle. I am so glad that my emotions are not dictated by what I see on the television. Because there are so many horrific things that are going on right now. And I was sharing this in our 8 o'clock service. One of the ones that have most recently appeared was the shooting in Binghamton, New York, where this immigrant went into this building where they teach other immigrants how to speak English, because they came from different parts of the world to our country looking for a new opportunity. But this 41-year-old Chinese who was from Vietnam had gotten disgruntled because some people, from what the news media have gathered, some of his family members used to somewhat joke on him or scorn him because of his English that he spoke, and evidently that it wasn't that good. But even at saying that, it still doesn't give you a reason to take someone else's life. He went back to the place where he was learning how to speak English. He came back with 2 handguns, and he was in full armor. And he killed 13 people. He killed people, once again, from all parts of the world, from Africa, from Australia, all over, who was coming, but not from Australia because they speak English, but just different parts of the world that English was not their major language. And this gentleman just goes inside, take out his guns, after blocking the back door with his vehicle, and began to shoot people. And one of the first ones whom he shot was the receptionist. Thank you, ushers. He shot the receptionist in her stomach. She didn't die. She played dead, but she didn't die. And she was able to call 911. And because of that measure that she took, see, sometimes you got to make your enemy think that you dated. I'm not going to get any amen with that. I'm not talking. You got to make people think that what they spoke came to life. But you know otherwise. And you know that what they spoke over you would never come to pass. Because if it was left up to people, people would try to destroy you way before your time. And hear me on this morning. You are always going to have haters. They may never introduce themselves to you as your hater, but someone don't like you just because they don't like you. They don't necessarily have to have a reason why. You know, growing up in school, we had reasons why we didn't like certain people. Most of the time, because really they had something that we couldn't afford. So we disliked them. And on top of the killing there of all those people, he turns the gun on himself and committed suicide. So now you're left with all of these victims who died. Some would say unnecessary. Now you don't have a perpetrator whom you can interrogate or interview and find out why did he do what he did. And most recently in Cary, North Carolina, not Cary, Moore County, I think it was Carthage, North Carolina, this gentleman who had had problems in his marriage. And him and his wife had been separated approximately 3 weeks. He goes into this nursing home and began to kill the elderly people that was there. He was looking for his wife because she worked there. He didn't find her. He was killing people in their 80s, 70s, and the oldest one was in her 90s. He even turned the gun on one of the employees, which was a nurse, who hadn't been too long been certified to nurse. And he enjoyed working with the elderly. He killed him. And they interviewed one of the survivors' daughters. And the mother told the daughter that the gentleman came into her room, took out his gun, walked over to the other bed in the same room, put the gun to the elderly lady's head and blew her brains out. And he was coming around for her. But at that moment, he heard someone on the outside and he left her. Satan don't play fair.
That's right.
That's why that is so crucial for us to live a life that if by chance our lives are taken,
That's right.
that God would be able to look at us on the day of judgment and say, well done, my good and faithful servant,
Yes.
well done. And did you hear about the 3 police officers? I think this was in Pennsylvania, who was killed. And it was dealing with domestic violence. Then when you hear about the unemployment rate, do you not know in the month of March alone, there was over 600,000 unemployed in this whole nation? 600,000 plus people who don't have a job now. And sometimes we become so complacent. We become our own guards, meaning that we go to work late. When we should be working, we be taking a break because we feel that we deserve it. When you're asked to stay off the phone, you get on the phone. You come to work with an attitude. You come to work like I don't really want to work. But sometimes you need to ask yourself, what if I didn't have this job? What would I be doing now? And do you not know that since last year, in our country, the land of opportunity, the United States of America, there is over 1 million plus, I think it's somewhere around maybe 12 million people who have lost their jobs since last year. So if you have a job, it may not be what you want, but be thankful that you have one.
That's right, Bishop.
Because there's a lot of other people who don't have a job.
That's right.
And take pride in your work. Stop getting to work late. Come like you're ready for business. Do your job and don't get into little cliques.
That's right. That's right.
Because they got cliques on job sites.
Yes.
Do what you need to do. And allow God to handle the rest. There's so much stuff that's going on in the world. And now it's like that the Obama's family is under this microscope. Whatever that they do, someone wants to judge it. Most recently, Michelle Obama, they said that she did something that was out of protocol because they are in the Far East and they was visiting the Queen. And just because she had her arms around the Queen's waist, the Queen had her arms around her, they said that Michelle Obama was out of order. Because they said that nobody touches the Queen. Let me tell you something. It's time for us to stand for that which is right.
Come on, Bishop.
If she hugged me, which is touching me, well then why can't I touch her?
That's right.
What am I saying? Stop bowing down for stuff that really don't have no substance. Start living a life that you can be happy about. You will be surprised how many people that are in this world really don't even know what true happiness is.
That's right.
They live a life always depressed, always what they call under the dark cloud.